Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming back. This is part 2 of the GoldFish Report number, 377. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 378. This is on the crop circles with Patty Greer and Penny Kelly. So we will continue with part 2 right now.
We go back to the 70s until now. Your thoughts create your reality.
Exactly.
Moving through space. It's the physical manifestation of understanding plasma.
Well, isn't this what Nikola Tesla? I mean, this is why his work was suppressed, and hopefully we're going to have Trump, whose Uncle John, came in contact or was entrusted with the papers of Nikola Tesla. So we'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to play from the current slide here. So Patty, why don't you go ahead, and then Penny can comment too if she wants to after you.
Can you make it a little smaller because we're missing the mother's head?
Okay.
Bring it down a little bit. That's number 2.
Yeah, no, hold on one second. Just a second.
Penny, did Levengood do experiments with consciousness on plasma to see how the effects and how far you could manipulate it with consciousness?
I couldn't.
Sure did.
Okay.
I don't know why I can't get the mother's head in here for some reason. Let me see if I can pull up the original. Go ahead and you can talk about it while I'm trying to find the original.
What we're showing here is the crop circles of 2019, and I grabbed 12 of them, which I found to be kind of telling the story of this summer, in my opinion. And I did something for this show that I've never done before because I haven't spoken in a year, but I thought it would be healthy for me to look at what other people think, other people being men, on the crop circle connector. It seems like it was all men that are writing these very long-winded explanations of all these crop circles that I'm looking at. For me, I'm so intuitive, simple, that I'm not doing the mathematics. I'm not doing the historic. I got to be honest, I haven't read the Bible cover to cover, so I don't look at things. Oh,
there we are. She's back.
I don't look at things historically or biblically or astronomically or mathematically. I look at the picture intuitively, and if it's a real crop circle, there's a feeling that I will have, which doesn't necessarily mean the hair goes up on my arms, but it seems like what Penny was saying, Lefty, Levengood, could look at the pictures and say that's real, that's fake, and most of them are real. What I saw this summer culminated in one that we'll see in Poland in screen share number 6. But this is number 1, which said to me the punchline of what I see this summer. We've got mathematically or astronomically alignments with a lot of crescent moons and planets. The planets are typically different sized circles, but what I keep seeing with these crescents and the formations of summer, mainly in France, is the divine feminine. Now, what I see, it's so beautiful. Somebody did this, Lucas Berry in France, grabbed a photo of the Divine Mother and overlaid Mary Magdalene on this crop circle. It's what I saw in almost every crop circle this summer, other than the sacred geometries or the pictograms that are not these formations. But you can see the mother laid in there, and this is what I see, but I see her arms in the arc of celebration, of dance. And what I see in so many formations is the rise and joy of the divine feminine dancing, celebrating her return. So let's go to number 2.
Just before we go to number 2, it's very funny because while we were doing the preamble before the show, you mentioned that the crop circles had gone to France, and the first thing that came to my mind, and I'll try and be brief as a man, is that Notre Dame was an absolute attack on the symbolic feminism in the church. Would you agree with that? So you're saying that they knew this, or whoever it was, like the move from England to France, and then that was a preemptive strike at the heart of the feminist church, or the feminist symbol of Notre Dame in Paris. What would you say?
You're probably right, and it's a wonderfully male perspective where
I apologize for that. What can I do?
No, you're absolutely correct, and I'm glad you're here.
I'll try and purge myself after and flagellate.
What you're going to have a hard time with all of them because I grabbed all these divine feminine crop circles, but it wasn't hard because so many of them have been this summer. So here she is. She's kind of, again, it's a similar formation where she is on her side, but you can still see if we turned her up, it's the celebrating goddess. It's the same form. Let's go to the next one. And these are all in northern France. You can see the size of the formation compared to the trees and the road. And again, we're closer to the formation, you know, in a microlight or with a drone. But these things are huge. And they go sometimes field to field. But as I look at this, look at her arms above her head. I see her dancing. I see, and you know, of course, I see her dancing, but I'm going to quote number 3 of what other people saw. Now in Notre Dame, you were correct, and I saw the goddess, but let's see, what did the men say? There's been many messages in France that would appear as the ending of an old cycle and the beginning of a new one. Oh, this is me. I believe we are seeing the rise of the divine feminine and the end of an overly empowered patriarchy just in time to save the planet.
Well,
Now,
the planet moves through different cycles. There's no question about that. That's why it's binary as well. It's male, female, male, female. It moves backwards and forwards over the ages. But do you see a difference between the crop circles in England that we had before now that it's moved to France? Is it different?
yes. In
In what
France,
way?
I'm seeing a lot more of the response to your wonderful question. Yes, there was a lot of suppression of Mary Magdalene. And
Yes.
the churches were
For
very...
2,000 years.
Yeah, 2,000 years of it. That's why we are needing to take our power back. How's that working for us? How are the trees doing? How's the wildlife doing? How's the water doing? How about those phony clouds? Now, are any of them being brought to you by women? Sorry, I don't think so. How about media?
True.
Well, any extreme of any gender is an extreme, and that's an imbalance on Earth. So I wouldn't. I don't think that's the right way to approach the new age. I think we need to find balance. Wouldn't you agree in nature and with ourselves?
Let me just jump in because you know if the squad had their way, and sadly, I'm very sad to see that the majority of Democrats in the House are all female, and they're destroying this country. So you know,
well, they're misusing the female energy. I agree with you, Louisa. They are. Yeah.
Hold on. They are not in this new frequency. They're not part of this.
No, they're being manipulated. They're puppets.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so they're playing on this old energy, and they're puppets, like you said, being used. But it's a shame because we really need to be celebrating the return of the divine feminine and not using the divine feminine to continue to pervert what it really represents, which is what they're doing in Congress right now. So it's very sad about that. Steve, I agree with you. I mean, you can definitely look at, you know, Notre Dame as an attack on the female too, but if you know what was going on inside of that and underneath the Notre Dame,
well, that was also an abuse of the feminine. It was built to represent the feminine, and it was abused through satanic abuse. Yeah. That's also a misuse of the feminine from my perspective.
Let me ask Penny to comment because you didn't have a chance to comment on this design yet. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we go?
I would just add that when I look at it, what I see is the layout of the plasmas, the rotating plasmas. What you see, especially in that first one, there's a plasma rotating within the initial, I mean, there's a plasma within a plasma. And so you get the counter rotation happening right within one plasma. And that's that circle. And then there are smaller. Those are, if you look in my book, what I realized as we were doing this research was that those are the human body, the human chakra system is a system of plasmas, and they either take in or spit out material.
Yes, that's
and
right.
So this is a, you
POTUS.
know, yeah, when I see the lights around a human being, it looks very similar to this. So what you have are two main counter-rotating vortices. The head is smaller, but then there's this counter-rotation within it, which is why the circle looks like it's got you know, like it's fat on one side, on the bottom side, and it's
You mean
very
hips?
thin.
You mean hips?
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Okay,
And then
yeah, I
what you
saw.
have the fields that are, you know, those two bottom, I don't know, what would you call them? Boats? They look like boats with a little bitty.
Crescents.
Those are some of the fields that they come out of the plasma, and they're in a wave formation, they're in a frequency formation, and so they'll lay down something here, and then they'll move up, and then they'll lay down something over there, and then they're either out of energy or they dissipate or whatever.
So to your eyes, they're two-dimensional representations of plasma fields.
Yeah.
Right.
This is feminine. I see the hips, Patty. Okay, let's move along. Okay, now
I want to talk about the point that you made about the women in Congress, and also the term that I use. There's a difference between female and divine feminine.
let's sing, everybody, divine. Okay, let's go.
Now, again, there's a difference between a woman who's hurting children or hauling them off to whatever, and the divine feminine who's in her sacred balance. What I see here is sacred balance. I'm not talking about the women that are acting like men, or the women that are acting out in a way that's not going to save the planet. The mother, the earth herself, is not one of those congresswomen. She is the ultimate divine feminine who actually cares about the wildlife, who cares about the frequencies, who is sending up these counter-rotating vortices to bring us information in a language that we can all understand. Most of them are pictograms, pictures of things that we can see with our eyes, feel with our heart if we're open. So I love what Penny said, because I wasn't thinking of sticking a pin in the middle of each of these formations and spinning it, especially counter-rotating. I mean, wow, what a great idea. I didn't even think of it.
Right.
Now this one was laying on its side in the original picture, but again, it looks similar. Do we have it laying on her side? No, it's up.
Mm-hmm.
This one, sideways, you can actually see at the top a baby in the womb. You can actually see the second circle off to the right, looks like a baby with a mouth open. But you can't see it from here, but if you turn your head sideways, you can actually see, to me, and again, this is just my girly perception, where it's not just these spinning plasma fields, which is a whole new way to look at it, thank you, Penny, but also you've got, with men, thinking planetary alignment, different moons, different crescents, but you've got the twins, you've got the children, the baby in the womb here, which is a lot more of the divine female feminine.
I like that. I could see that, Patty, definitely. And then here
Let me
we
add
have,
to that.
oh,
Let me
sure, go
just
right ahead, Penny. Sure, please do.
I think it's important for people to understand that each human being is a collection of plasmas. The liver is one plasma, the heart is another, the eyeballs are another. They each have a different structure, and that's why they produce a different type of material. Your eyeballs don't grow on your toenails, you know.
But then we're talking about stem cells, and we're talking about on the cellular level, because they're different types of cells for each of the organs. So how does that correspond to the plasmas that you're talking about?
Because the plasma, all chemistry follows frequency. So first you have to have the arrangement of frequencies in their fields, and that contains the information in, just like in the barcode, in Oliver's Castle barcode, that contains the information about how the material is to be built.
Right. Okay.
So it builds these
yeah.
basic cells that then respond to other frequencies.
Right.
And it's we are amazing creatures.
We are so suppressed. Okay.
Well, I certainly agree with you, Patty, that these are supersized Rorschach tests. You see what your intuition tells you what you see. And that's at one level. But isn't there another level of geometry and mathematics that's well within it that you can read as well?
Well, we're going to get into that. Right? I mean, there's some
multi-layered.
So
now this one's for you, Steve. I don't know if you can make it smaller because we're missing 2/3 of the formation.
Yeah,
These
it's
are
just how,
huge formations. These are
yeah,
giant.
this is just how it's, you know what, I'll try to find it because it's just how
It's
the,
larger than your screen, Louisa.
yeah, it's just how, here it is. Can you guys see that one or no? Because I'm probably not screen sharing this one. Let me try it. Let me re-screen share this one. Just the image.
Fanning myself with my
It's
nose.
just,
There you go.
yeah, it's just what PowerPoint does. I don't know why it clipped that off. I didn't even notice it, but okay. So here it is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course the girly girl is going to go, oh, look at, you know, we've got the divine feminine, 2 fields with a road in the middle. So what the message, in my opinion, instantly is, it wasn't enough to put it in 1 field, she put it in 2. But the interesting thing about this particular double is that it was located in a place that has huge historical history. And I'm going to quote from somebody who wrote about this one, which was in France, of course, and it appeared in 2 separate fields with numerous crescent moons and what appears to be another planetary alignment. Located in 2 farm fields near the commune of Saint Hippolyte, or Hippolyte, in eastern France, a country closely associated with the mysteries of Mary Magdalene and the Templars.
Right.
These images appeared as dancings celebrating goddesses to me, and appeared in France almost 200 meters long. This was the largest formation and most perfect that we've seen in a very long time. But the history is interesting because Hippolytus of Rome was the foremost 3rd century theologian in the ancient Church of Rome. He clashed with the popes of his day and appears to have been a leader of the schismatic group as a rival bishop of Rome. Therefore, he was considered as the first anti-papa. He opposed the bishops of Rome, who loosened the rules of penance to accommodate large numbers of new converts of the pagan religion. It even seems that these aligned moons and planets stretched in a long line may be suggesting the scene of Saint Hippolytus being stretched and drawn by 2 horses. Take that.
Okay, Penny, did you want to also comment on this one?
No, just the only thing I would say is that what you see in the crop circles often are schematics, energy schematics for various forms, whether that form is a flower or you know, what do you call it, pyramid, or whether it's a human being, a humanoid being. These are structures that determine the layout and the appearance of matter that underlie all of our
atomic level, at the atomic level, maybe.
Okay, someone had recently asked me to ask you guys what this, I'm glad you had this one in your slide set, Patty. I sometimes think that, okay, these are all symbols to communicate something to us, right? And why not communicate things that are going on a solar system and planetary level, right? Because we can't see that. We don't have that perspective. I don't know if this planet X, we know we're part of a binary system. We know we have a brown dwarf within our solar system right now. So could any of these be depicting the trajectory of the orbits of these planets with respect to our Earth, or with respect to the solar system? Penny?
I'm going to say it like this. When you study consciousness and you really look at, for instance, words and their frequencies or materials, all of the interpretations are true. All of the messages are true. And so what you get is an example or a hint, I guess I would say, of the concept of superposition, which means that everything exists in all possible states. So there's, you know, the Earth exists in all possible states, the solar system ditto, the human. And when you've done the kind of research that I've done into consciousness, and you've run into the 10,000 versions of yourself that you accidentally created because you're not awake and you're not paying attention to what you're doing with your consciousness, you begin to grasp the nature of reality. and the fact that things do exist in all possible states. And so what you're saying is exactly right.
Well, Patty made reference earlier to this warning that was given to us through a crop circle. So why not, couldn't these be warnings as well of incoming trajectories of this either Nibiru or Planet X system? I don't know. I just know that there's a lot of people who talk about it. There's evidence in the sky of two suns. There's a lot of things happening on this planet that could explain, it could be explained by an electromagnetic relationship with another large planetary body that's,
Right.
you know, 4 times or 10 times the size of Earth. So what do you say about that? Could this be the trajectory of this incoming of these other planetoids in our?
Certainly, when looked at through the, you know, through the lens of, you know, here's a small system outside the main system, then you have to say yes. The only thing I would say is, well, you know, there's like 7 bodies in that Planet X system, and there's only what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, there's more than I first thought.
They have
5.
it has 8 moons or something with it, and it's you know, it's winged.
I
and
think
so
it's got 3 planets and, you know, several moons.
several moons, 5 moons.
So, and you know, I think the big message, the big question is why are we being refused the information, fascinating, amazing information about our world? This is no different than the Catholic Church in the Middle Ages forbidding people to talk about the stars and forbidding people to say anything about
A
astrology.
heliocentric world, universe, that's right.
Well,
Right.
it's for the
Solar system.
reason, it's for the reason why when Valiant Thor was here in the Pentagon, and I just did a report with some people who work, you know,
Yeah.
we're familiar with Frank Strange's and his work and Mrs. Strange's, and
Oh.
we're trying to carry out his mission. The problem was, they said the reason why when the good ETs, or let's just call them, you know, off-worlders, came here and wanted to, said Valiant Thor's, you know, message was, we can help humanity in a way so that they'll never be sick again and never, you know, starve and have these illnesses and all of this. And I believe it was either Truman, I think it was Truman or Eisenhower's response was, that would destroy our economy.
Oh.
So and this is the reason why, right? I mean, this is not a surprise.
The
And so,
petrodollar.
exactly. So
Yeah.
let's just finish. Let's move along so we can get some more of these slides that Patty shared with us, and we could talk about this. So Patty, did you want to, can you see this one okay?
Again, it's too big. If you can keep going back to the original, however you did it a minute ago. But I want to say your perception is up to you. An astronomer is going to see planetary layouts. A mathematician.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's multi-layered information. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
An artist is going to see pictograms and read them like a book. I'm going to see my version of the reality. And when people have all these different interpretations, I say, you're right.
Yeah.
Because, you know, your perception is up to you. Crop circles are coming to us in so many layers of consciousness that everybody's going to see what it is that is in their frequency field at their level of awareness. So I think everybody's seeing pretty much what they're supposed to see.
No, sorry, wrong window. Sorry.
See,
hold on.
Penny,
Just a
quick
second.
question. I mean, we still don't understand water. Most scientists would agree we don't really understand water. We haven't even begun to look at plasma. What's the weirdest experience you've had with plasma during your research?
There's nothing weird about it. It's just science. So
What's the most extraordinary experience that you've discovered about plasma then?
I think if I had to nutshell that, let's go back to water. When you have H2O, you have an oxygen,
Oxygen,
you have 2
yeah.
hydrogens, and they're attached to that oxygen at a particular location on that oxygen molecule.
Right.
So let's say it forms a triangle, okay?
Mhm.
If you move one of those hydrogens up here, so now the angle between them is, say, 93 degrees instead of 90, or 120 instead of 90. what you do is you change all of the characteristics of water, how it behaves, what it does, how its absorbability, you change, and that is true for all things.
And it reacts to consciousness too. Water reacts to consciousness as everything else this does.
Water is conscious. Yes.
Dr. Emoto showed us that, right, Steve? Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
But is it because is the position of the where those molecules anchor, is that due to the covalent bond, or is that the only place that that covalent bond could occur? Is that why?
No, the
shift.
covalent bond occurs according to the placement of the fields. Okay,
Right.
so you
So it's a
have to
frequency
let
thing.
go of all of your old
Right.
science,
Yeah.
nuclear, gravity, all that stuff, if you want to grasp plasma, because you end up trying to fit all these other things from old science into the new science, and it doesn't work. All of that old science is the result.
That we
Yeah, plasma physics is a whole new animal.
But that's quantum, isn't it? You're talking about quantum physics.
It's way beyond, it's beyond quantum.
So there's what's the new name for that? Is there another name?
Plasma physics.
Just plasma physics, okay.
Or some people will say, oh, that fits the electric universe. And so I've been kind of comfortable with the electric universe, but it's really, it really is a conscious universe. And so consciousness is the major thing here.
So what effects have you been able to, oh, sorry, I'll let you go to the slides then.
Let me go to the slides because we have so many to get through. I just want Patty to comment on what she brought with her today.
Okay. Yeah, some of these slides, a couple of them I was almost brought to tears. The last one, almost to tears. So.
Oh, okay, you're at number 1. You want to go flying through to the
7. We need number 7.
This was the next one. Let's see. This was the one you said that you couldn't see. Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
How does a toroidal field relate to the plasma field?
That one came right after this. Okay, what can you describe the one that you're looking for? Is it the yin yang? Can we go to that one? Or?
Black and white images and a map of northern France.
That's the one I just screen shared. You didn't see it?
No, that wasn't what we saw. That's not what we saw.
I have no idea what you saw. Good grief.
Okay.
Good grief.
So number 1, there we go.
There it is.
There we go.
That was what was on my screen. I didn't know you couldn't see. Okay.
So here's the map of northern France, and here are 5 crop circles that appear. And again, they're nicely laid out. Of course, now I'm seeing everything like Penny gave me my new medicine, which is to stick a pin through all of them and spin them, and then kind of rotate them. And I'm seeing a whole different picture, which is chakras. So much information is in these, and that's why it's fun to, when I was in England, I used to sit down with 6 crappies, and we'd have a little wine, and I'd put down a photo at a time, and I'd say, what do you see? And all 6 of us would see something different. And I would just nod and go, wow, we're all right. So this was an interesting grouping of the divine feminine, and now you can look at it also as planetary alignments, mathematical whatevers, spinning vortices, and of course, number 4 to the right is completely different than the other ones. And what we have there is what I used to love to put a pin in the middle and print it and spin it. And most of the sacred geometry that is consistently the same coming out from the center, in my opinion, was propulsion. Schematics for propulsion, for different movement of vehicles. So that's what this was about, was to look at a group of them in northern France together and see how similar 4 of the 5 are. We're going to get to number 3 in a minute, but first let's go to the next slide, which is the one that split my lid this summer, the yin yang in Poland.
Well, we're kind of partial to that on this report.
Oh my God. This one, you know, again, everybody's going to see it differently, but I was like, oh, the men are out of the formation. God bless you. I love you guys. But it is about bringing balance back. If the planet has been locked down with patriarchy, with fast cars, with gasoline, with all these things that make us money and take us shopping, if all of a sudden we move that energy out of the formation. Poland. Who puts a crop circle in Poland in a dry field? Thank you, Mother. For me, this is the yin yang with a whole new field of balance, which is the Divine Mother now has all this room to create the new field of what's about to happen. And the male, wonderfully symmetrical, is over there kind of taking a little break. Penny, what do you see?
I think that's pretty good. What I see is here you have some of the dynamics of a double, you know, counter rotating. You got one circle within the you know, the main circle that is obviously, you know, it looks almost like a match to the one that's outside the circle. And there's your two counter rotating vortices, but between the two of them, they're creating this amazing, you know, yin yang symbol, which is you have to have balance. And in order to have balance, really, you have to be within your circle, your sphere of influence, and you have to look outside your circle. You have to be outside the box as well as inside. So that's another point of balance. But in terms of just plasma, it's like, yep, that's how plasma works right there.
Steve, did you have any questions, Steve, or comments at this?
Well, I mean, I agree. You can see anything you want to see in it. It's a Rorschach test if you look at it from this perspective. I mean, I believe there's lots in it. I mean, I can see several things there that I could, but who knows if I'm right or wrong. But I still like to go back to the question. I mean, I believe you ladies are right that it's something to do with the planet, to do with Mother Earth. But what tells you that? What supports your opinion?
For me, it was just instant intuition. And again, my craving for peace and balance and the return of our wildlife, our forests, to stop the logging when we have hemp is more of something that I think ladies would come up with. Whereas, again, it's just my perception.
Okay.
But immediately that was my perception. You're going to love the next one, Steve, because we're going to have to stretch our thinking.
So you're saying it's conceptual. It's whatever you see in it. It's conceptual then.
It's
wherever
multi-layered.
your consciousness is at the moment.
Yeah. You read it from your consciousness
Right,
perspective.
right.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at that one. Give me a break. Now that's preparation for the yin yang, and it's a stretch of our thinking to come up with all of those different, perhaps phases of the moon, perhaps different planets.
Keep going that direction.
Comet, meteor, could be many things. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this one I did grab a quote because I thought there was a really brilliant statement. And this one is in Saint Marches in France. A lot of these are in France. And it's stretched out perhaps in preparation for the shift of the energies that we are entering. Clearly, we can see a wave of energy coming down the 9 planetary alignment. Do these 9 semicircles mean alternating energy in motion? Note that there are no 2 circles alike. Quote, this is what somebody wrote. In addition to showing a planetary alignment on this axis of 9 light-dark circles, marked and traversed by the wave, this yin-yang-like wave reproduces the eclipse balance in the sun-moon duality.
Interesting.
Somebody else's perception, but I thought it was pretty wise.
Yeah, I mean, you can see, at least in the one that's in the forefront of the picture, you can see the counter rotation that you're talking about there, Penny.
Yeah.
You can see that, like Patty says, it's kind of like if you split the yin yang in half and separate it, you can almost see like you're saying, that there's this frequency that runs, between the two, that they're connected through frequency. But you go ahead and tell me what you think about that, Penny.
This is one of the ones that gave me goosebumps because of some of my own research I've been involved in lately.
I can imagine.
This is, to me, this is the effort to create a new Earth, which is a task that we have right here, right now. We have to create a new Earth, and so what we have is the spin-off of energy. And it always, when you're creating a form, like if you're out of the body for 3 hours, 4 hours, you're going to end up creating a body, because wherever consciousness goes, a body is created. So here we have what you see in the beginning is this field, this whitish kind of material that begins to gather. And I have a lot of photos of those kinds of things. And then that material solidifies into something, into a form, or it's taken in by the people in that local region and they embody that, etc. I mean, I don't want to get too complicated, but because of what we have coming at us in terms of the micronova, we have to contemplate, is it time to build a new earth? Is it time to prepare to move to a new earth and make a leap in consciousness? And that's what this suggests to me. So.
Okay, you just said something that's really loaded. What we have coming towards us, this micronova. Would you like to expand on that a little bit?
Got an hour?
Well, no, I just mean exactly what are you talking about for people, for viewers who don't know what that is that's coming toward us? Could you just say, like, briefly, like, what is that coming toward us? Yeah.
Okay, so in a nutshell, what happens is that the sun, on a fairly regular basis, every 12,000 years, is going to blow off all of the dust and dirt and debris that settles on it. And that time is up. It's about to do that. The 12,068 years is up somewhere over the next 26 years. And when that happens, it's usually the start of a new ice age. It is also there's a lot of destruction. It's an extinction level event unless you prepare. So
there goes global warming.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so you're saying that this is also responsible. So right now we're seeing massive earth changes. We're seeing, you know, look, the Zetas, if you look at Zeta Talk, Nancy Leader has been trying to say, and I'm just saying, you know, I don't know, I'm not giving her credit. I don't know what's going on, but they've been trying to say, look, we're going to have a pole shift, not just a magnetic pole shift, but a physical pole shift.
Well, that symbol there looks to me like a shift in polarity.
Yeah.
It's rebirthing. Yeah, from one. It's linked. It could be spermatozoa. Could be rebirthing of a polarity. That's what I see there.
And so she's been on this website trying to warn people through the Zetas, apparently, that there's, you know, that there's safe places, that there's going to be a restructuring of the continents. In fact, that this event, I guess, that you're talking about, a lot of people are talking about this as the event, that this pulse from the galactic central sun, I don't know, you know, that everyone has a different name or explanation for
That's
it.
right.
And, you know, some other people are saying, oh, we're going to go to Sheen. Like, I don't know what that is. And, so some people are saying it's survivable. And that's why the elites have built these deep underground military bases called DUMBs, so they could go down there. They have their ticket to survival. When everyone on the surface is basically going to go to hell if we don't find a way to, you know, we're going to die if we don't find a way to, you know, to protect ourselves. We have incoming asteroids. There's a meteor shower last night and tonight. It's supposed to be big. So go ahead. I said a lot. Go ahead, Penny, if you want to comment on that.
I think, you know, I haven't been to Nancy Leader's. I don't visit Zeta Talk, but it sounds like she's correct. And regardless of the name, when you study the science and then you look for the evidence, what you see is, OMG, we have all kinds of evidence of this, and this is a regular common thing. So then you take into account the fact that plasma responds to consciousness. At that point, you have to say, hey, are we going to, okay, yeah. Are we going to meet this with our consciousness? If plasma responds to consciousness and we don't want that Pacific Ocean rolling across our continent, what do we have to do? If we don't want that sun, you know, sending us a massive compression wave, then what do we need to do? And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's all kinds of stuff that happens in what you call the event.
So you're talking about group meditation or you know, something like that. Let's move along. Let's go to
Yeah.
this next one here, Patty. And
Oh,
again, I know it's cutting it off. I don't know why. I'm going to look
That's,
for the original. I'm going
yeah.
to look for the original.
That's the only pictogram in my whole presentation. Because everybody can read this one once she makes it smaller. But what we see is an insect. And once we see the whole insect, we're going to see it's an ant coming out of a hole. And the interesting thing, though, is that it's not a normal ant. And it's not a normal anatomical layout of a normal insect. And this one happened in Spartacus Wood in Surrey, England. So the pictogram, it depicts an ant with 6 legs and antennae, but the insect's body has an axis of aligned circles that do not match the natural structure of an ant, which has a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. The ant is coming out of a beautifully woven circle, which, you have to trust me, in the wheat, when you take brown, dry wheat and you weave it like a braided basket, the art is so phenomenal to see. Unfortunately, we're not seeing it here, but
Yeah, I'm going to see it. I'm going to show it right now.
Okay.
I got it. Hold on a second. No,
So,
PowerPoint's cutting him off. Sorry about that.
it's okay, you nailed it. So look at this weave. Now, this is when you're on the ground, woven wheat that's not broken. I was not in this formation. It may all be broken if it was a bunch of guys with boards and ropes and a bunch of beer that night, but I don't think so. The ant, the elements of the ant are way too clean. So we have to look at what is the mother saying? Why is she showing us an ant or an insect coming out of a hole right at the time of the summer solstice? What about that heat wave? Is it causing all of the animals to come out of the earth or out of the forest, or humans to come out of their element of nature? So I think that the message of the ant coming out of the beautifully woven hole, of course we've got a double circle, is a sign that there's transformation happening. And why is she doing an insect or an ant that's not exactly the real normal coding of an ant? Is because she wants all people to see that something is coming out, that something is transforming. That's what I see in this beautiful crop circle that happened in England.
Penny, did you want to comment on that? I know we're really at the 2-hour mark, folks. This has just gone by. There's so much we could talk about. Oh, I can't believe we just have to keep moving along. Penny, did you want to comment on this one?
I'm just going to make a quick comment. The earth had, this is a pattern of the insect pattern, and it's like a reaffirmation that yes, we have this pattern and we are maintaining this pattern, even though your insects are disappearing at a phenomenal rate.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
You know, in 2009, we really featured pictograms. We had all kinds of bugs, but they were the ancient ones. We had the scarab. We had the dragonfly. And in the ocean, we had the squid and the orthoceras. I mean, the ancient sea creatures. We had a 1,500-foot octopus. And then we had the hummingbird that was reminiscent of the Nazca line hummingbird. And then we had the sacred thunderbird, which is the Native American. Why? Birds, fish, bugs. And what happened the following spring? The BP oil spill, which murdered, killed birds, fish, bugs. To me, it was a precursor of information. It was all pictograms so that we humans could say, birds, fish, bugs, what's the message? And then boom, it happened.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting that, well, just quickly, it's interesting that you mentioned the Nazca lines, because that pictogram was exactly the same style as the Nazca lines. And also, I might just add quickly that the ant is one of the insects that works as a huge community. That's exactly what we're not doing.
Yeah.
We're working as a single ant. Individual, we're working for ourselves, the ego, serving the ego. And the message there, I feel, is that we should work together as the ants.
Excellent, Steve. The one quote that I took from a man, he said, the ant suggests work and guard, watch and pray, because the long winter of earth is coming.
You see, I'm only merely male too. There you go.
And I love you guys. This is not me saying I don't want to be with a man next week or tomorrow or tonight. I love men. I think we're all really important.
Well, that's the thing. We can only procreate together, so we have to work together. Wouldn't you agree?
Okay, let's go through these. We only have a couple left.
Yeah, I'm spinning now on procreation. Okay, back to reality here of crop circles. Now, of course, I'm totally worked out now. Everything I'm seeing is through Penny's eyes, where I'm spinning it on the axis. It's a whole new way to look at it. But this one was actually, appears to be a schematic of the electromagnetic physics of a disk generator. This is described as a North Pole magnet rotating rapidly in a circle around the outer edge of a conductive disk. The electric current will flow inward toward the center of the disk wherever the magnet passes. Now, this is interesting. Quote, AC disk generators like this were used in the late 19th and early 20th centuries by the high-frequency alternators by the inventors such as Tesla, Ewing, and Alexanderson. There may have been practical advantages over standard AC generators, which we use today, since they do not include any wire coils. Hence, they should be less effective by Lenz's law repulsions and more efficient or somewhat closer to free energy.
Yeah, it looks like a schematic. It's quite clear. We have just to interpret it.
Patty.
And the next one as well.
Patty.
Yes.
Sorry, excuse me for interrupting. Which one of your movies on the on your website has the diagram of the propulsion
Energy devices?
Yes.
The shift has hit the fan.
Okay, I'm going to pull that up in just a minute. So just go ahead and keep explaining.
Yeah. My final 4 movies are all free. If you dial in my website, cropcirclefilms.com/free, my 4 most important films are free, and you can stream them 24/7. I want everybody to see them because the information is massively important, especially now as we're transcending. The next one, so this one was in France. The next one is another free energy device, in my opinion and the opinion of others. It was in Belmont Lane on 611 in Hampshire, England. So let's go to the next one.
Okay, hold on a second. Oops. Sorry about that.
Okay, really appreciate
I'm having a little technical problem. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to get it up because
Should we go to commercial break?
No, you know what it is? PowerPoint is very disappointing. I don't know why PowerPoint would cut off, some of the image. It's like it defeats the purpose, but whatever, I was struggling with it today. Here we go.
Commercial break. Are you still pennykelly.com?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
pennykelly.com for 687 books that she's written, or is it 20-something, 25? Her books are so brilliant, it's crazy. And I've got 8 films on my website, cropcirclefilms.com. So back to this crop circle. How perfect, how beautiful. And no matter what angle you fly over this formation, it's going to look 3D. It's going to look perfect. It's just so beautiful. And when I went to look at what people thought it was, because I would stick a pin in the middle and spin it and see a propulsion schematic for a ship. To me, it's a wheel, but what I saw when I went looking was this appears to be a schematic of a water wheel with the 8 lunar crescents. The small circle in the center of the formation represents the center of our galaxy, which transmits to us the energies from the central source. 8 rays emanate from it, resembling the galactic compass with the 8 galactic directions. But again, this is a schematic of another free energy device of the water wheel, effortless energy.
Okay, I'm going to share the next one. Patty, I was looking for the video that shows it, and it wasn't in the trailer that I was looking for. So I guess, I don't know if I'll be able to pull that up. It's not in the trailer on that one. But I just saw it. I have a feeling I do have it marked. I'm going to keep looking for it, though. But it's very interesting. What I'm talking about is an interesting video clip that Patty has that shows this symbol like this in the 3D actually functioning, in an energetic way to create energy. You can explain it better than me, Patty.
No, I love it. It's basically, you can take all the sacred geometry crop circles. When I used to do my live presentations, I had not 5, but 60. I would show up with 60 different, you could even do it to this one. You print it, you stick a pin in the middle, and you spin it. And all of a sudden, your eyes are on the side of your head, you know, trying to focus, because the message is so different when you spin it. Because all of a sudden, it's a propulsion device or schematic lighting on the bottom of a ship. I mean, you can take your brain anywhere.
Right.
But this one just happened 2 days ago. Or when I say just happened, it was discovered and documented. So it could have been weeks ago, but it was just found by somebody flying over or walking through a field, or a farmer going in to mow down his wheat and going, oh my God, what's this? So there's all different ways that crop circles are discovered, but this one is quite a beauty. Now, some people will see a star, some people will see a Merkaba, but the Merkaba was a very interesting aspect of this particular formation. And here's another quote. The Merkaba is a divine vehicle or motion system in the dimensions of the universe. It is, in three-dimensional geometry, a double tetrahedron or star tetrahedron obtained from the inner diagonals of a cube. This seems to illustrate the dematerialization of objects and bodies in the process of teleportation.
Well, let's not forget that Merkabas are also counter-rotating, so that would introduce plasma to the equation, wouldn't it?
Right.
It was. Look at us. We're all of a sudden changing our perspective.
That's what Patty just said. Exactly. Penny, did you want to also comment on that?
No, I think Patty's explanation is good.
Okay.
And in the interest of time, I'm going to say, yeah.
Okay, we have one last one, and then we're going to close this up. I understand. It's just so fascinating. You really, I'll tell you that this time has gone by so quickly, and I feel like I have 100 more questions, but we'll just save that for next time. I hope you'll all come back and join us again. We'll do a part 2 or another one. Here's our last one that we're sharing for today.
This is my favorite dichotomy of reality. What we have here is the fear factor. And this was posted, and this crop circle just happened within the last few days. Stonehenge Dronescapes, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but they claimed that it was the Extinction Rebellion has revealed a 300-foot extinction symbol crop circle in a field adjacent to WOMAD. It's okay. So here's what they said about it.
What's WOMAD? Sorry, I don't know what WOMAD is.
Some kind of a festival in England.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's what they claimed. It symbolizes, and I don't agree, so don't panic. It symbolizes ecocide and climate chaos while drawing particular attention to food security issues. The flattened plants send the message that climate chaos ravages our crops, leaving people hungry and desperate, a tragedy only set to worsen. Oh my God, I'm going to climb in that wormhole and hide. Okay. Luckily, I was like, wow, really? Extinction Rebellion? I mean, this formation could be a number of things. But the very first comment, which I loved, was from Turan Cameron, and she states, or he states, the symbol in Nordic runes is Dagaz, whose key concepts are bold change, breakthrough, awakening, realization, new pathways, balance, fulfillment. Translating Dagaz literally means day or daylight. This rune tells that the dark times are over, difficulties have brought growth, and things are starting to change for the better. It points to night becoming day, a breaking through. What a great ending.
Wonderful. And also, Penny, can you also give us your final comments on this? And well, let's just ask you for your comment on this, and then we'll have a final.
Same thing. I saw it. I play with runes, and I saw it, and I thought, oh, there's Dagaz.
Oh my goodness.
And I think it's calling for us to be bold. We're creating a future here. What do we want to create?
Very good. Steve, did you want to have any final questions for our guests?
Well, only just about the plasma technology. How far are we with to using it for constructive purposes, Penny?
Ooh, well, we have, first, I think people have to begin to understand that this amazing technology is out there. They have to understand the science behind it, or they're not going to get it. And that was one of the things that Levengood was really concerned about. He said, you know, It takes 50 years for a new science or the principles of a new science to kind of trickle down into the minds of men. And it's really, really important that we speed up this process.
I agree.
So
We may not have 50 years.
we don't. Yeah.
But
So,
aren't clouds plasma? Because you can do cloud busting, you know, if you concentrate through theta. Isn't that right, Penny?
everything is plasma. Everything.
Everything.
All right, but how close are we to tapping into this technology?
Well,
Or to
let's
tapping
just
into energy?
say that some factions have developed it to the max. The average guy.
Military factions, I assume. Yeah,
Like
Pardon?
Nazis.
military factions.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Always
one of the
weaponize
things-
everything, don't we?
I'm not trying to. Yeah.
If you look at 9/11 and you look at the condition of the material that was left on the ground,
Energy
that's
weapons,
the result when
Yep.
you disintegrate something
right?
at
At
the
a
frequency
molecular level. Yeah.
Yeah, you get dust.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's directed energy weapons scalar. You're talking. This is scalar.
Yeah, scalar, not really, but yeah, but I mean, energy weapons are a little bit different, but scalar is a way of organizing some of that energy.
Okay, so we can basically weaponize everything, but how close are we using it for positive purposes?
Oh my gosh. I mean, if you want to use it for food, you can enhance the production of seeds. If you want
Right.
to use it for medicine, you can reset the entire energy body of a human being, and they are reset to their perfection, and the disease.
To your blueprint.
just-
Yeah.
It's like erasing the disease.
Yep.
If you want to stand in a field of frequency, you can alter your own chemistry and therefore your own consciousness, or you alter the consciousness and that alters the chemistry. You can change the way material science is done by changing the characteristics using plasma, and therefore different materials will bond and work together in a different way. And so we'd have new options. Energy, oh my gosh, unlimited energy. You can manufacture water just by knowing how to assemble the frequencies, and the water dribbles out.
Can we do these things? Can we do these things?
You know what? We have to close this up. So I'm sorry, Steve. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm telling you.
No, we're at
it's
the end.
okay. We can keep them for another hour. I know.
Yeah.
We have to let them go. But will you come back and join us again, both you wonderful, incredible, inspiring,
Yeah, thanks for coming.
lovely ladies? Would you please come back to GoldFish Report and join us again?
Sure.
Yes, absolutely. I have one more quick statement, which is the punchline of crop circles and why they've been hidden, is that the seeds inside crop circles are growing 30 to 400% more food and biofuel per plant, with up to 75% more nutrition per seed. The end.
Holy cow. I mean, you know, you're right, Patty. I mean, that's exactly,
Very
you know,
important.
absolutely. That's
That's
amazing.
plasma technology.
That's
That's
amazing.
right.
So those are, I just want to ask for both of you, and I was going to just ask you for any final comments. Patty, did you want to add to that, or is that?
Again, I think that what we have here is a way to bring our food supply back. Once we get Monsatan out of the way, we're going to be able to use charge density plasma, which Lefty had in the lab. I saw it. Penny showed me. And when I went to her house, she gave me a headache 5 mornings in a row. I literally held my head and said, ow, you're stretching my mind.
Amazing. Well, Patty, you look beautiful and wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. And Penny, what a pleasure. Let me ask Penny, do you have any final comments or anything? Everything that we talked about today is just, you've just left our viewers with, like, you know, their jaws dropping. So do you have any final comments for our viewers before you come back and return? We talk about plasma some more.
Really, the only thing I want to say is thank you, for having me. And then just be alert to the nature of consciousness, which is energy in motion. Energy is consciousness in motion. That's my final comment. We have a whole new paradigm to be discovering, and it has wonderful what I'll call factors and opportunities and things about it that would make life be much different, much better.
Well, thank you so much. And absolutely, it was such a pleasure to meet you. Absolutely lovely. And, even more lovely in person than, on a, well, not almost in person.
I know the camera.
I know. So thank you so much for joining us. It's so lovely. And Steve, thanks so much for being here and co-hosting with me.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Amazing.
So to everyone, we really look forward to having our guests return. I'm sorry that this ended up being so long, but we couldn't help it. Right, Steve?
No, what can you do?
So fascinating. And I knew this was going to happen because when you really, have a topic that's this much fun, you just can't help it. So thank you very much, all of you, for both our guests and for Steve and for everyone and for all of our viewers. All the contact information, our websites and all that will be for our guests will be in the description section of this video. And please, visit their websites. And if you haven't, purchased the films, go onto Patty's website and I think you can order them. Is that right, Patty? We can order them,
Yes.
and viewers
You
can order
buy
them.
the DVDs. I have the full collection set in one box for a fraction of the price, or you can stream the last 4 for free.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Patty, and for all of your work and dedication and, for everything that you've done to bring this and your incredible, look at this, look at her awards and for her incredible, I'm just so amazed.
It's the black gray.
It's the friendly one. It's the friendly one.
People's Choice Award for Crop Circle Diaries. Really
You're an amazing woman. You're both incredibly amazing women. I'm so privileged to know you and to have you join us. So thank you so much. And to all of our viewers, stay tuned. We're going to bring more of this wonderful information to you in the future. And we hope you all have a great week. Thanks for viewing. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.